What's going on, guys? Welcome back to this week's first episode from the greatest podcast on turf. I will go in and tell you guys what we are doing on this episode. We're going to go through like the first, we're going to say the first 7 rounds, and we are going to give you some guys that we are targeting in each round. Now, if we say we're targeting Dalvin Cook in the first round, that does not mean that he's better than Jonathan Taylor. It is simply stating that, we're not going to just say like the 101 is what we're targeting. We're saying if you're like pick 6, what are you looking for? And then after we go through round 1 to 7, we'll throw out a couple of late guys that you should be grabbing, like where you should be getting Ramondre Stevenson, Dameon Pierce, guys like that we have been drafting in every single one of our drafts. But before we get into it, be sure to check out our sponsor, Little Italy Pizzeria. Best cheesesteaks, best pizza in all of Delaware.
Yeah.
And check out our other content this week.
Yeah, earlier this week, I don't know if this will be the first or second episode. I'm thinking this will be the second upload.
I said first, but it's fine. They don't know, we don't know. They'll figure it out.
Yeah, earlier in the week, probably yesterday or the day before, we uploaded our 2022 Fantasy Football My Guys. Got the idea from the Fantasy Footballers. Those guys are awesome. Check them out after you check us out. But yeah, we uploaded our My Guys earlier in the week. We gave 3 guys that we are targeting in every single one of our fantasy football drafts. Higher than the ADP. We talked about some reasons why. And then later in the week, we will be uploading another 2022 Fantasy Football 12-team PPR mock draft. You guys absolutely have been crushing the fantasy mock drafts. So we're going to keep bringing them to you guys because you guys seem to really like them. So yeah, with all that being said, first round of the fantasy draft, besides the Jonathan Taylors of the world, there's a couple guys, honestly, that really stick out to me personally. As you know, we had a 12-team draft. I took Justin Jefferson at the 2nd overall pick. I think the upside's there. And then another guy I really like is Joe Mixon, Oklahoma guy. He was great for the Cincinnati Bengals last year. He had a lot of rushing yards. He was involved in the passing game. And it didn't really, despite Jamar Chase having his breakout year and T. Higgins also having a great year, it didn't affect Joe Mixon at all. He's a great third option of the team. He gives the team a running presence so teams can't totally key on the pass. And when they do, they call an audible, give the ball to Joe Mixon, which works out pretty well. So, I'm targeting Joe Mixon in a lot of fantasy drafts, especially after the 6th, 7th pick range. And Justin Jefferson, I would be happy if you took Jefferson 101. Any value with Justin Jefferson, especially the later it goes, the better value for getting Justin Jefferson in the first round, in my opinion.
This is one of the reasons that we are the greatest podcast on turf. It is because we disagree with each other sometimes. Joe Mixon, personally, I got him in the 2nd round. I just don't think he gets the passing work that I love. I would rather have guys like Barkley or Kamara, personally. But I respect his opinion. He could definitely make me look like an asshole because Joe Mixon was top 5 last year. I just think it was boosted by touchdowns, which might not be there this season. But a couple guys that I'm targeting in the first round, I go running back heavy. I am the type of guy to reach on running backs and not really care just because that's what I like. So Dalvin Cook is one of the first guys that I would mention. Obviously, the McCaffrey, Henry, those guys I would also take. Yeah. But if I'm picking at, pick number 10, 11, 12, and all of these guys are gone, I would be fine taking a Barkley Kamara there. Really? The turn, I would do it. I know both of those guys went the 2nd round in our mock draft, but I think personally they're top 5 running backs, and they're just getting in the 2nd round because there's some risk involved. I would take the risk. I like running backs. I'm a running back hoarder. I admit it. I have a problem, and I admit it. So I would go running backs early and often. Even Dre Swift on the turn, I'd be fine with. Like I said, you do not want to be in that position with Breece Hall. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's very messy. I don't think you want to do it. 2nd round, though. As I mentioned before, Dre Swift, Saquon, Kamara, Aaron Jones. I'm sticking to that strategy. I'm a man of my word. Leonard Fournette at the very end. Barkley and Kamara at the start, grabbing them. And Dre Swift. Those 3, if I'm anywhere in the 2nd round, Kamara, Barkley, and Dre Swift are my picks.
Yeah.
With Barkley being the 1. And then if I'm at the end of the 2nd round, that's when I'll grab playoff Lenny. But I'm still looking.
Aaron Jones? 2nd? Late 2nd? Where are you thinking about him? I'm just curious.
I got him before Leonard Fournette, but after Kamara, Barkley, Dre.
That's fair. I feel like that's about right.
So that's probably right about in the middle. The only other thing that I would consider doing in the 2nd round is Mark Andrews at the very end. Yeah, I'd consider it, especially if I could get like Jonathan Taylor, Mark Andrews, Leonard Fournette. I would consider that.
Yeah.
But I'm running back heavy once again.
No, I agree as well. If you're playing just some receiver names that I would maybe be interested in, Mike Evans. Mike Evans is good for 1,000 yards, at least 10 touchdowns every year. Every year he's finished inside the top 15 for fantasy football. In the past 5 years, I think it is, he's finished in the top 15. You know what you're getting from Mike Evans. He's got Tom Brady back. But the third round, this is where I love the fantasy draft. This is where
I hate this round.
I love this round so much.
I hate it so much.
Because you got the guys like the Javonte Williams, a guy who I wouldn't mind taking at the turn of the second round either. But this is where I love. I mean, you got the T. Higgins of the world, a guy who I'm extremely high on. Sleeper hasn't updated its ADP, but Michael Pittman is a guy who I absolutely love. Michael Pittman is my personal number 8 ranked fantasy football receiver this year. He is one of my fantasy football my guys that we talked about in a video from earlier this week. So be sure to check that out if you're interested in our My Guys. But this is where you're able to grab your third running back, the Javonte Williams. I don't hate James Conner just because I think that the red zone work's going to be there.
And because he's better than everybody else.
Yeah. And also because just because the Cardinals, they like to run a lot of 12 personnel. They put them 2 tight ends on the field. Zach Ertz, a good blocker. Trey McBride, rookie tight end, is a great blocker. So I think that's going to play to James Conner's advantage a lot. But, I mean, in terms of there's such good receiver value here in this third round, especially if you go running back heavy like Ryan and I tend to do, and you're able to grab a T. Higgins, Michael Pittman, even a Cortland Sutton, DJ Moore around these rounds. I mean, those are great value wide receivers for this round. But in terms of specific third round, T. Higgins, Javonte Williams if he's there, James Conner obviously if he's there, and Michael Pittman Jr., which I think, again, in mock drafts he's going to go a little bit lower, but I think Michael Pittman Jr. should be available in the third round, and if he is, I think you should take him.
I'm going to be honest, this is where I struggle the most, this is where I've had the most problems. Rounds 1 to 2, I can get 2 running backs pretty easily and be happy with. Rounds 4 to 7, I can give receivers and be happy with. I'm pretty confident in my ability to know those receivers, but round 3 is the range where I just don't like. It's hard drafting these guys in the third round. Like, they just don't scream.
I don't think so.
Like, I don't.
See, it's it's weird because I'm the total opposite. I love the third round.
Like, let me put you, Javonte Williams. Is he safe this year?
Yes.
No. Why? Melvin Gordon's still there to be an asshole on third down. James Conner's probably the most safest, even though we've seen James Conner suck.
Yeah.
Zeke, he's...
Hell no.
He's only safe for touchdowns, and he's going to get touchdowns, but that's it. T. Higgins, yeah, like, Mike Williams in the fourth, it's the fourth round. Like, I'm taking shots at receivers just to make something work. The third round, I feel like, needs to be 100%. And I don't know if there's a guy here in the third round that's 100% besides Leonard Fournette and Mark Andrews.
Really?
Like, I just don't love this pick.
I love the third round. The third round and on, from the 3rd to 8th round, is like, all right, bet I have my guys in this range. These guys are all my league winners, and I love all these guys, and I'm going to get all my guys.
I like picks 1, 2, and then 4 to 8. Just something about this third round just gives me the hex that I
the
just don't like.
The 5th round gets because, you're at the Hollywood Brown range, the Clyde Edwards-Helaire range. But after that,
5th round, I'm rocking Hollywood. Don't care.
Yeah, but I don't know. I love... From rounds 3 to 8 is the prime fantasy draft for me. It's when I'm getting all my sleepers. I'm reaching on guys, and I don't give a shit.
Round 3, I just don't like reaching. My targets are Leonard Fournette, Javonte Williams, James Conner. It's only 3 guys. Mark Andrews, yes. It's 4 guys.
You ain't touching Kittle or Waller or Kyle Pitts in the 3rd round?
No. I would take Zeke, though.
Really?
Zeke is a safe enough flex to get touchdowns.
That's fair.
I don't love it.
I love it. That's weird for me to hear you say that. It kind of surprised me a little bit.
I hate the third round.
Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I'd have to ask. I'm curious to hear other people's opinions about it now because I've never thought about it like that.
Usually it's fine, but this year, I would take Mike Evans in the 3rd, but he's going in the 2nd. I don't love these receivers at all.
Don't like Keenan Allen.
I don't think the 3rd round receivers warrant 3rd round.
I would disagree.
Michael Pittman, I guess, if you put him up in the 3rd, and that's fair.
I think Cortland Sutton could even.
Nah.
Really?
Dude, Cortland Sutton's hurt You want the poster child of hurt? It's Cortland Sutton.
Do you remember 2 years ago when my first 4 draft picks of the fantasy draft?
Yeah, it was like Saquon, Cortland Sutton.
It was Saquon, Joe Mixon, Cortland Sutton, Kenny Galladay.
Yeah.
And Kenny Galladay played the most games out of those 4 guys, and he only played 3 games. Yeah. That was terrible.
Like I said, third round is where I struggle. I find myself liking the draft at the very end right now. Like, that's my favorite draft spot is at the end.
See, I hate the end.
You like to start?
I
like the end because
3 to 8 for me is like this is the best part of the
draft.
I
mean what pick?
Oh,
I like the end, and I think the end of the third round sucks.
I like in a 10-team league, I'd be happy with 8, 9, or 10.
Yeah, I just think the third round value is with the first pick, or first or second pick.
Yeah, I mean because you're looking at a Mike Evans, Mark Andrews, Leonard Fournette
instead of a Deontay Johnson, Cam Akers, A.J. Brown.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest advantage. But also the advantage of having picks at the later round is you do get 2 back-to-back
top-tier running backs.
That's the only thing that kind of... Like, I'll take 2 top-tier running backs over 1.5 top-tier running backs and a good tight end.
Like, I'm going to be honest with you guys. The draft I just did, I reached in the third and drafted Travis Etienne. That's because... Fournette, Javonte, James Conner, Zeke were all gone.
Yeah.
And I literally, I don't hate it that much anymore because...
The more I think about it, the more I like that pick for you.
I literally just don't know what to do in the third. I just panic and take running backs. Anyways, enough of that. Fourth round. This is the receiver round for me. This is where I start grabbing them. There's plenty of guys. Michael Pittman I'd be fine with.
Oh, my God, yeah.
That's more Anthony's boy, so I'm finding Anthony, get Michael Pittman, I get Mike Williams. That's really what's happening a lot.
And yeah.
Terry McLaurin, I'd be fine with at the very end.
Yeah.
DJ Moore is more of a fifth-round guy for me, just because I think Christian McCaffrey gets the touchdowns. I have that.
You think so?
DJ Moore just ain't going to start catching touchdowns. I just can't say it. He's small.
Baker Mayfield
he's not comfortable.
Baker Mayfield had Jarvis Landry as the receiver 13 and 19 through his first 2 years.
Yeah, but DJ Moore will be fine. He's small.
He's not even small. He's like 5. He's like 6 foot.
He just looks small.
He's like Terry McLaurin. You think he's small, but I mean he's not. Like
there's nothing about DJ Moore that's like holy shit.
The numbers that he's put up with bad quarterbacks,
I know they're wild.
Holy shit! Enough.
I just can't let me go draft DJ Moore. But yeah, fourth round, Michael Williams, Terry McLaurin, Michael Pittman. Fine with all 4 of those guys, or 3 of those guys. Cortland Sutton, I'm fine with. That's my fourth round targets: Mike Williams, McLaurin, Pittman, Sutton.
Fourth round for me. I mean, all those guys Ryan said. Maybe even a Jalen Waddle, not early fourth. Probably toward the end of the fourth, around the bend going into the fifth, I would consider Jalen Waddle. Some other guys, Darren Waller, I like in the fourth round. I think he's going to have a pretty big part in this offense. But I'll talk about the Raiders more in a little bit. Moving on to the fifth round.
We forgot to do it before, but absolute do not draft list in the fourth round.
Oh, my God.
Breece Hall, Jerry Jeudy, DK Metcalf. Going up to the third, Cam Akers, you don't want.
No. Fifth round, real quick.
I can tell you don't want.
Antonio Gibson, Josh Jacobs, J.K. Dobbins, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Amari Cooper.
Yes.
Guys who you do want. Travis Etienne at the beginning of the fifth. I don't think that's bad value. I mean, if you look at it like this, Travis Etienne was a first-round pick. James Robinson was an undrafted free agent. That happened for a reason.
And one of them played running back with Trevor in college.
Yes.
And it's not James Robinson.
Yes. Eli Mitchell, I just can't get on the 49ers running back train. I feel like they just run through running backs like it's going out of style. Cortland Sutton in the fifth round, Allen Robinson in the fifth round, amazing value. Both have top 12 fantasy football wide receiver upside. I heard someone say Allen Robinson's going to finish as a top 5 fantasy wide receiver this year ahead of Cooper Kupp. I don't hate it. I mean,
I do.
Cortland Sutton in the fifth is great value. He seems to be Russ's main target through training camp. Whenever Russell Wilson needs to make a play during the team periods and the scrimmages and the joint practices, he's looking for Cortland Sutton. That's a big deal. Like we've been saying, preseason matters. So in the fifth round, I mean, Travis Etienne, Cortland Sutton, Allen Robinson, all great value. By the way, disclaimer, we are going off of this as a mock draft that we did for later in the week. We're not just pulling these guys out of our butts. This is where Sleeper has their ADP at. So we're just going based off of that. These guys may be going earlier or later, but we're just telling you who we like here and who we don't like.
My 5th round, Travis Etienne's fine if you need a running back. If you don't like somebody in the 3rd and you need that 3rd running back, Travis Etienne's fine in the 5th. A.J. Dillon's fine in the 5th. That's really the only 2 I like. This is the dead zone. The only 2 running backs I like in the dead zone are Travis Etienne and A.J. Dillon.
Yeah.
Wide receivers, there's still plenty. Cortland Sutton, Allen Robinson, Marquise Brown. If you wanted to reach, Gabe Davis, Rashad Bateman.
Brandon Cooks even.
Brandon Cooks is just safe. He ain't fun, but he's safe.
Yeah.
Anyways, round 6. Still the same guys that we said before.
The end of this round
once
is
again
hideous, though.
Smash receivers once again.
Look at the end of this round.
Oh, it's gross. This is where I'm drafting Rashad Bateman.
Yeah.
It's where I'm targeting him. Like I said, like a Brandon Cooks here is fine. Chris Godwin is even fine. I think he turns it up at the end.
Yeah.
Don't expect early success. Michael Thomas is an absolutely not. I'm completely back off of Michael Thomas and still I'm back on the Chris Olave train. Like I never left.
Yeah.
But Rashad Bateman is my favorite target in the 6th, along with the A.J. Dillon, and that's about Dalton Schultz is fine. Positional advantage to tight end.
I'm going to go ahead in a different direction here. I like all the guys Ryan said. A.J. Dillon, obviously. Dalton Schultz. Brandon Cook, safe. Bateman. I don't mind Hurts or Kyler here, especially if you pair him with if you pair Kyler with Hollywood Brown in the round before, or if you have an A.J. Brown in like the 3rd, 4th round. I wouldn't mind pairing him with Jalen Hurts. They're both quarterbacks that are not afraid to take a shot and run the ball. Also not afraid to Jalen Hurts was not afraid to try and air it out. But yeah, in the 6th round, I like them guys. Guys who I don't like in the 6th round, Adam Thielen, Juju Smith-Schuster, Darnell Mooney, Michael Thomas, T.J. Hockenson. So the last 6 picks of that round. 7th round, I wouldn't even mind a DeAndre Hopkins at the turn, which is about where he's going with the suspension. If you have 2 or 3 stud receivers, take the chance on D-Hop. You'll get him back after 6 to 8 weeks. In terms of the 7th round, just going here, Russell Wilson, I wouldn't mind. I think he's in for a big year. Hunter Renfrow, great value for the 7th round. I say it every single time. Josh McDaniels makes slot receivers. That's what he does. He made Julian Edelman quarterback, who was drafted as a quarterback, into a borderline Hall of Famer. He won Super Bowls with Danny Amendola, Chris Hogan, and Julian Edelman, all playing out of the slot. Now, granted, Tom Brady was there. Granted, Gronk was there. Granted, Bill Belichick was there. But let's be real. The slot receivers were a big part in that offense. I think Hunter Renfrow is going to absolutely eat in this offense. I think he's in for a monster year. So, 7th round, I would be fine with taking Hunter Renfrow early 7th, but the later in the 7th round you can get him, the better. Guys who, I do like Kareem Hunt as well, as Ryan touched on earlier, or I don't even know if it was the last episode, or the mock draft, or this one. Kareem Hunt's going to catch passes. You can't give Nick Chubb the ball 100 times a game. It just doesn't work like that. And Kareem Hunt in the 7th just gets better value if he gets traded. Eagles are in talks with him. But 7th round, maybe Miles Sanders even. But yeah, I'll let you say who guys you do like, and we can talk about who we don't like, because I feel like it's going to be all the same guys.
7th round, I like Gabe Davis. You're not on the Gabe Davis hype train?
I don't know if I can be, bro. I just don't know. He just don't do it for me.
In the 7th round,
I think taking a shot on him.
Yeah. It's a shot.
I'd rather have Hunter Renfrow than Gabe Davis in the 7th. Though.
And I'm the opposite, because Hunter Renfrow, that man right there, don't do it for me.
Dude, he does it for me. And
I just
fucking love that guy.
Just can't get behind him.
He does it to me and some.
That's fair. But like an Elijah Moore in the 7th, I'd be okay with.
Yeah.
But guys I don't like, there's a few. Damian Harris, a guy I don't like.
Hell no.
Rashad Penny, I kind of do like. I think he's going to start off strong.
Kenneth Walker.
7th is a little steep. Kenneth Walker, I hate. Devontae Smith, I don't like.
Nope. I don't even really like Dallas Goedert. I feel like he's going to be fighting for touchdowns with Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown in the red zone this year.
Yeah, I'd rather have Zach Ertz than Goedert.
Absolutely.
But 7th round, you take another receiver because you went the RB strat, or this is where you can start reaching on guys that we're going to mention now. We're done the draft breakthrough, draft whatever. So we're going to start giving some late round targets.
Oh my God, I have a bunch of them.
8th round, Chase Edmonds, one of them. Chris Olave.
Brandon Ayuk.
9th round, Damian Pierce, Ramondre Stevenson.
Derek Carr if you need a quarterback. Robert Woods.
Brian Robinson is
that's a
probably
big
about right here. And then like later, Isaiah Pacheco.
Cole Kmet if you need a tight end. Gerald Everett if you really, really didn't draft a tight end.
Yeah.
If you're in the 10th round and you don't have a tight end, if you're in between the 10th and 12th rounds, I would say from the 10th round to the 15th round, I mean, you're looking at tight ends, Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett. I don't hate Irv Smith, but coming off the injury, I kind of do. Noah Fant, if Drew Lock's a starter, I think they could have success together. David Njoku
running
even.
backs.
But yeah, we're slamming running backs and fading receivers early in the draft. Devin Singletary, another guy who I've been getting behind lately. Christian Kirk. I think the Jags are going to be good this year,
I'm going to be honest. If you guys listen to us and you don't leave your draft with either Damian Pierce, Ramondre Stevenson, or Brian Robinson, I'm not sure what the hell you're doing.
Yeah.
If you don't leave your draft for at least one of those three,
I mean,
I literally get as many as you can.
Yeah.
I mean, all three of them might be a little. No, there's never too much space for.
I mean, don't you have like 8 rookies? You have like 6 rookies on your bench, so in theory it could happen. Alec Pierce, another guy. He's turning heads in training camp. He's having a good preseason for the Colts. I know Mike Pittman there. I know Jonathan Taylor's there, but Alec Pierce, the white guy from Cincinnati, he's a stud.
Isaiah McKenzie, the slot in Buffalo. It's not sexy at all.
By no means.
But 10 points a game. It keeps the like anger away, you know. It just keeps you on track.
In terms of total offenses and players that I am 100% staying away from, I think this goes without saying. Any Chicago Bear, unless your name's Cole Kmet in a PPR league.
Yes.
Any Washington Commander that's not named Terry McLaurin.
Brian Robinson, I want.
Or Brian Robinson. Any Atlanta Falcon.
I'm not drafting an Atlanta Falcon.
Unless it's Tyler Algier in like the 13th round, because why the hell not?
That's fair.
Seattle Seahawk. Me personally, I mean, you speak for yourself, but I'm staying away from Seahawks. If DK Metcalf is there in like the 6th, 7th round, I feel like you kind of have to, but that goes without saying. But I'm definitely ain't touching Tyler Lockett. Maybe Rashad Penny, maybe if I'm a little thin at running back. But
Rashad Penny would very much tempt me if he was there late enough, because I know how good Rashad Penny is, and I know how good he was in college. But he's going to get hurt, unfortunately, and that's just what I have to live with.
Guys who I'm also fading, Dawson Knox.
I'm okay with Dawson.
Nope. O.J. Howard's going to take his spot.
No. Who else am I fading?
Any Giant that's not named Saquon Barkley.
I didn't even know that there was other Giants.
Kenny Galladay, Kadarius Toney.
Who else is just horrible? Traylon Burks.
Yes. I haven't heard a mother effing thing about Traylon Burks.
TJ Hawkinson. No.
Yes.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire. No.
Hell no. Yes, I agree with you.
The main guy that you don't want to draft.
Antonio Gibson.
And if nice, he's becoming the jack of all trades. Yeah, so good. Good at special
he's
teams.
blocking on punt return. He gets to play gunner on punt return.
So in theory, this is the draft strategy for the greatest podcast on turf. Running backs early and often. You take your shots at receiver.
Yes.
And then you just grab the running backs that we said, as many as you can.
Yeah.
And make it work.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking in the 9th, 8th round forward, you're getting guys Ramondre Stevenson, Chase Edmonds,
Damian Pierce,
Brian Robinson, Devin Singletary, Isaac Pacheco. I mean,
one of those guys will work.
If you get somehow all those guys, something's got to give and one of them's got to work.
Me and Anthony pretty much followed the same draft strategy. Running backs early and often. He took a wide receiver in a 3rd. And drafted A.J. Dillon, like we mentioned before. Yeah. This is our strategy. This is what we think will win you.
I mean, and we kind of stuck with it in the draft, in the fantasy draft we had in real life, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I did take Jefferson at the 2nd pick, but I still walked away with Chase Edmonds, Javonte, Leonard Fournette, Cortland Sutton, George Kittle, Trey Lance, Ramondre Stevenson, D-Hop, Drake London, Jalen Tolbert,
Drake London, and then you had a really good draft as well. You're top G. You have Kyler and Hollywood, the tandem, Saquon, Najee, Cole Kmet, who we love, Dameon Pierce, Brian Robinson, Isaac Pacheco, Sky Moore, Chris Olave, Travis Etienne, Rashad Bateman.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
A lot of rookies, a lot of value on our benches. It's obvious in fantasy football every year. It's the same thing. You have the first 2 round guys that are locks to go in the first 2 rounds. The third round, it's like the NFL draft after like the first 3 picks in the loaded draft class. That's when the draft really starts. I think that's why I like it so much, because it's like, all right, I'm going to start grabbing my guys. Because obviously everyone has their guys in the top 2 rounds. But the third round is really when you're like, oh my God, I love this guy. Hence why I love Michael Pittman. Hence DJ Moore. Hence Hunter Renfrow. Then you have your sleepers who me and you both love. The Ramondres. The Chase Edmondses of the world. The Dameon Pierces of the world. Just guys in the later rounds who have upside and who we truly believe that are going to do good. And I think that's the glory of fantasy football. Because it's like we said, me and you talk fantasy football every day, whether we're recording or not. Mm-hmm. And I would say we're becoming somewhat of experts in the field. I guess the more we look at it, the more we talk about it, and the more we learn the game.
Yeah.
The game in terms of like sports analytics and stuff like that. I think it's the glory of it because we love it. I play about 4 fantasy football leagues a year.
3.
Draft. It's all about drafting different guys, just enjoying it. I have fun doing fantasy mock drafts. And that's just the glory of it. Rounds 3 through 8 is the best part of fantasy football because that's when the draft really, really starts.
No, round 3 sucks.
As you've stated. Is there anything else you want to touch on?
That's all.
We touched on UFC on the other podcast, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, be sure to like, subscribe, follow us, rate us, whatever you're listening to us on. Cop some merch. We're dropping some new merch. We're trying to get a rewards program going, but for the rewards program to get going, we need some customers. Buy some merch. It's the greatest merch on turf for a reason. Great quality, looks great, affordable prices. It's cheaper than any other merch, I feel like, and it's probably better quality. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching and listening. And with all that being said, we will see you guys later in the week with our fantasy football mock draft.
See ya.
Peace.